I probably shouldn't be the person explaining library workplace mysteries. I still whisper thank you when I use the self-checkout machine and once spent 15 minutes looking for a book I was holding. But I was at the library yesterday trying to look intellectual by reading actual physical books, and I noticed that thing again. You know what I'm talking about. And instead of just accepting this as one of life's unsolved mysteries like a normal person, I went down this research rabbit hole that completely changed how I see every customer service job. Turns out what we're actually detecting isn't what we think it is at all.
Now, before you think I'm being mean to librarians, I have nothing but respect for people who can organize that much information without losing their minds. I can't even organize my browser bookmarks without having an existential crisis. But there's definitely a pattern here, right? It's not just one library, it's not just one person. It's like there's this specific occupational situation, which made me wonder, am I just imagining this, or is there actually something about library work that creates this whole thing? So apparently, and who knew this was even a thing, there's actual medical research about workplace stress and something called dry mouth syndrome. When you're dealing with people all day, and let's be honest, library patrons can be challenging, your body starts producing stress hormones. These stress hormones reduce saliva production, which is basically your mouth's natural cleaning system. Less saliva means bacteria stick around longer, having their little bacteria parties, and bacteria plus leftover coffee plus 8 hours of explaining where the bathroom is. That's your recipe right there. But here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just the stress. Libraries have this perfect storm of environmental factors happening. You've got decades of dust from old books, air circulation systems that haven't been updated since the Carter administration, and an atmosphere so dry it makes Arizona look like a tropical rainforest. Plus, and this is something I never thought about until I started researching this, librarians consume a lot of coffee and tea. Not because they're necessarily caffeine addicts, though maybe they are, but because it's one of the few job perks that doesn't require a budget committee meeting. Coffee breath plus dry mouth plus dusty environment equals, well, you've experienced it. And here's why it's so easy to pick up on it, particularly in libraries. There's this psychological phenomenon called sensory contrast effect. Basically, your brain pays way more attention to smells when everything else around you is supposed to be neutral and quiet. So we notice librarian breath more than, say, barista breath, even though baristas probably have objectively worse breath from tasting espresso all day. But coffee shops are already sensory chaos. Your brain filters out the smells because there's too much other stuff happening. Libraries are supposed to be this pure, intellectual sanctuary, so any smell becomes the main character of your entire sensory experience. And if you want to get really nerdy about this, which apparently I do now, this whole phenomenon is relatively modern. Traditional libraries weren't these hermetically sealed, fluorescent-lit environments. They had better airflow, natural lighting, and librarians weren't doing this intense customer service work they do today. So what we're actually detecting isn't poor hygiene. It's the physical manifestation of modern workplace stress combined with environmental factors and our own psychological biases, which honestly makes me feel kind of bad about all those times I held my breath while asking for help finding the biography section. The good news is, if you're a librarian watching this, and statistically someone probably is, there are actually some pretty simple fixes. Better hydration, sugar-free gum between patron interactions, and maybe lobbying whoever makes budget decisions for improved ventilation systems. Some libraries are even installing humidifiers and air purifiers now, which seems like a reasonable investment for a place where people spend hours breathing the same recycled air while pretending to understand Ulysses.
So there you have it. Library breath explained by someone who still uses the card catalog because the computer system makes me nervous, and once asked a librarian if they had any books about books. If you want more awkward social observations explained by someone who definitely thinks about these things too much and probably needs to get out more, hit subscribe and maybe visit your local library. They need the support, even if you discreetly breathe through your mouth a little.